I haven't met, my name is Jason Feuerbach. I'm the athletic director here at Whitney High School. This is my second year in this position. And so if you've had student athletes here in the past, you're going to see a lot of changes. If you haven't, then this is all you're going to know, which is a good thing. And so we're going to go over a bunch of stuff tonight. And just to let everybody know, you should have a sheet of paper. You're going to fill that out, turn it in to your coaches after the breakout sessions. Here's why that's key. In order to even be put on a roster in our scheduling software, you have to have that form turned in. If not, you can't even try out. And so please make sure you turn that form in. So people who don't show up tonight, they're not trying out. It's a mandatory parent meeting. In my world, mandatory means mandatory. It means you show up. And so please turn that form in so that we can click that box by your name that will then enable us to load you on a roster. So, Kathy, you can hit enter. A couple things real quick, introductions. I already introduced myself. My secretary's in the back. It's Kathy Maxey. So, wave Kathy, tell everybody hi. If you call the office, she'll be the one that answers your phone. Coach Dan Parker is the men's and women's wrestling coach. Coach Nick French, where's he at? He's our new head men's basketball coach. And Coach Sydney Gatson, she's our new women's basketball coach. So Sydney's there in the back. All right, so there's some contact information for you. I will put this PowerPoint up on the website tonight, which I'll talk about. So you don't have to worry about writing anything down. This is all available. I'll tell you how to get a hold of us. But like I said, my name is Jason Feuerbach. My secretary is Kathy Maxey. She will deal with 99% of your questions. Probably the biggest thing to get from this is our website, whitneywildcats.org. And we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight and kind of, show you guys how to use it, how it can be to your advantage as a parent and also as a student athlete. Facebook is just Whitney High School. Twitter's at Whitney Cats. One of the big reasons we started a Twitter page was that's how we contact the section office a lot, the CIF section office. That's where they get scores and results from me. So you'll see a lot of stuff posted on there, how we're doing, different things there. That's so the section office can get immediate data from us. All right. Kind of the plan for tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about the athletic philosophy. So that everybody in here kind of knows where I'm coming from as the athletic director, along with my 21 head coaches. We're going to talk about sports on campus, the role of the student athlete, how we're improving the athletes on this campus and how we're analyzing them, the athletic training room and how that works, how you as parents can become involved in our program, the website, how you're going to register your son or daughter to play a sport, some budget items, and then some general athletic information, and then you guys are going to go to breakout sessions with your coaches and you're going to turn in those forms. The coaches will talk about tryouts, fundraising information, times, start dates, and all of that stuff. So that's kind of the agenda for tonight. It's a little far to use the remote in here. Yeah, you can hit it again. All right, so one of the first things I did when I took over was I met with my head coaches. I threw out an anonymous survey. And I asked them in 5 years, where are we going to go? Where are we going right now as an athletic department? Not one of them could answer my question. They'd never talked about it before. And so my big thing to them was, we got to have a plan. We got to talk about in 5 years, where are we going and how are we going to get there? So my first thing to them was answer that question. Where are we going? And as we talked about things, we discussed things, this is what we came up with. We want to be a dynamic program in the state of California in 4 years now, because we've already used a year. That's our goal, to be known throughout the state as a dynamic program. And we're starting to take steps towards that on a variety of levels. Dynamic program being not just in the wins and loss columns, but in the classroom, and being an athletic family, our community service, awards outside the athletic arena. To be a dynamic program top to bottom in the state of California. That's our goal. So when people ask me, where are you going with this athletic program? That's where we're going right there. Now, I guess the next question is, how are we going to get there? And that's what I asked my head coaches. That's great. A lot of ADs are going to tell you up here, hey, we're going to be a dynamic program. But my next question to them from you guys would be, how are you going to get there? Well, this is how we're going to get there. So I don't know how other people are going to get there, but I'm going to tell you this is how we're going to get there. 3 words: work, family, and life. We're going to work hard, and I'm going to demand that from your son or daughter here in this athletic program. And we're going to work harder than anybody else in this area. And I will be the leader by example. And I promise you that. I will get here earlier than anybody, I will stay later than anybody, and I will work on the weekends. And when I do have to leave early, I'll work from 9 to 2 a.m. at home. I have no problem doing that. I'm going to lead by example, and that's what I believe in. But we're going to work hard. 2, we're going to be a family. We're going to be an athletic family. That culture has never existed on this campus. And slowly we're starting to build that. I want football to care about softball, to care about wrestling, to care about basketball, to care about cross country, so on and so forth. We need to create an athletic culture on this campus where we're a family top to bottom. All grade levels, 1,200 student athletes. And so we talked to the kids about that. We're doing things to take care of that. Senior bowling night, where I took all the seniors bowling, no matter what sport you play. You can only have 2 of your sport on the same team. It was awesome. Free senior ball tickets on the line for the winning team. Probably the most exciting thing I've ever seen 125 seniors ever do. We're going to do that now with all grade levels. You're going to see that filter down to the lower grade levels this year. And then the last thing is we're going to learn life skills here. And so as we learn those life skills, being on time. All of those different things that will relate from here to their career hopefully someday. So then I meet with the students. I met with the freshman fall athletes Monday. I met with the sophomores, juniors, and seniors the week before. I go through this with them. So if we're going to work hard, what does that look like in the classroom? And here's my expectations. And the best thing for me is I'm an assistant principal up front. So your son or daughter gets a referral. The APs for that, if you're a sophomore, you're in trouble no matter which way you look at it, because that's my grade level. The other grades, I'll calm them down, and they're going to deal with me as an athlete. And then the school can deal with them however they want. They can get their 2 detentions or whatever. But they're also going to get punished as an athlete, because here's my expectations. Working hard. What does that look like in the classroom? We're going to complete our assignments. We're going to study. We're going to stay on task. Being a family, you're respectful in there. You're listening when someone is talking. You're accepting differences. I tell the kids, my wife thinks I'm the weirdest person on this planet. And to me, that is the best compliment I could ever get from someone. I never wanted to be normal, and I never will be. And so I tell the kids, man, it's great to be different. Embrace it. Life, I expect the kids to be on time. I walk out in the morning, and I'm barking at them if they're late for school. Especially if they have a Starbucks or a Jamba Juice in their hand. Dress appropriately. I don't want to see their pants around their ankles. All right? Things like that. Wear appropriate. Getting them ready for that career. Working a job. You got to dress appropriately. Having a positive attitude and being in class. Then we flip over to what does that look like in the athletic arena? Being ready for practice. You're working hard. You're demonstrating full effort. You're not giving up. You're watching film. You're studying and scouting your opponent. That is single-handedly one of the biggest areas where we are going to be able to win or lose. How hard we work. Are you doing that stuff outside that extra piece? Are you working harder than every other athlete in this area? Family, listening to your coaches, developing a relationship with your teammates outside the standard practice. Are you going to movies together? Are you doing things together as a team? Worrying about your teammates and not other people. And this is what I tell the kids. I come to work and I work 90 to 110 hours every week for the student athletes here. I don't care about Rockland High School. I don't care about Del Oro. I don't care about the Roseville schools. For all I care, they could fall off the face of the earth and I would never know, except for the fact that I might not have a game coming up. I do not care about those student athletes. I care about the kids here. And that's what I'm trying to get the kids to do. To care about their teammates and care about the kids that are on this campus. They're the ones you see every day, the ones you sweat with, and the ones you bleed with. Care about those kids. Don't talk to the other team. Don't worry about them. Worry about the kids that you see every day, your friends, your teammates, and truly try to develop that family atmosphere. Life skills. I expect the kids to be at practice. I expect them to be on time. Be responsible. For some reason, they're going to be absent or late, and we'll talk about that. Have a positive attitude, respect their coaches and teammates, and not argue with referees or opposing players. I will use this as an example right now. For those of you who saw the Quarry Bowl and saw Rockland High School's wide receiver run clear across the field and taunt our crowd, if that's one of our student athletes, I will sit them the next game. I don't know what they did, and I don't care. But if one of my student athletes ever does that, I will pull them from the next contest, guaranteed. I expect them not to argue with the refs, the opposing players, the opposing crowd. Going back to worry about the people that you care about. Don't worry about that other stuff. Don't taunt the other side. Don't argue with the referees. They're doing the best they can. Being a referee is one of the hardest jobs in America. All right, so that's kind of where we're at on that stuff. Here's what I tell the kids. Here's my challenge to them. Dare to commit, dare to work hard. I am disciplined, I am a student, I am an athlete. Dare to believe. So you'll see that dare to believe on certain things. That's what's before it. And if we can do those things as an athletic program, and if the student athletes can carry that out, and they can dare to believe in the system, we're going to be successful. We're going to be that dynamic program. All right, next, how we're making decisions in the front office from the athletic department. And it's always nice to know financial decisions and budget decisions, policies, procedures, things like that. Here are 6 core values. These were developed by the coaching staff. So I kind of took all of their surveys, anonymous surveys, I put them together. Here's what we came up with. And we're running this thing just like a business. So when we make decisions, here's how we're making them. Number 1, standardization of processes, protocol, and forms. Online registration, which you guys will see in a minute. I couldn't believe it last year when we had a stack of over 300 packets. It was like this high for the spring and the fall. It was crazy. 2, embrace and support the concept of the student athlete. I was fortunate enough to go to an awesome college that preached that, really showed me how important it was. We're going to preach it here. We're going to be student athletes. Chances are they're not making, your son or daughter isn't going to make a living because of their athletic ability. They're going to make a living because of their brain. And so we can use athletics to be a vehicle to get you money for college, to teach you a lot of things, but chances are at some point your brain's going to have to make you a living. Value 3, commitment from the players and the coaches. Value 4, coach and player discipline. I expect them to follow the policies and procedures that are set in place. 5, strive for continuous improvement as an athletic program. We'll talk a little bit about that later. And then build not only a team, but build an athletic program. And that's the whole idea of we will be Whitney athletes. We will not be wrestlers, football players, softball players. We will be Whitney athletes as a group, as a whole. All right, so sports on campus. There they are. So in the winter, we have basketball, cheer, dance, wrestling. Some of those including both genders. But there's the fall and the spring breakdown. Most of you should be here because of the winter. All right, the role of the student athlete here on campus and also in the community. All right, so once again, going back to the idea of being a student athlete. So secondary schools have 3 main components: academics, athletics, and activities. I expect the student athletes on this campus to do all 3. Participate in the activities on this campus, participate in the academics, and participate in the athletics. Our goal is to develop a positive school pride and culture around here. To have other students in this community, in this area say, I wish I went to Whitney because of their athletics, their academics, and their activities. And with 1,200 student athletes, we can be the forefront and the leader of this stuff. But my big thing is we're going to be successful in the classroom. We're going to be successful in the field. All right, study table. Here's how it works. It's held in here. Each team gets an area of the theater. So I space them out. They cannot sit by each other. So you have to have a seat in between you. They sign in. I'm the one who monitors it, and I monitor it from right here. And it's easy to see everybody. So I can see if they're talking, sleeping, or whatever they're doing. Texting on their phone, it's easy. It's easy to monitor from up here. You must bring homework, classwork, or something academic to work on. We go from 1:15 to 2:30 every Monday. Who will attend? Any 9th grader in here. You don't have an option. It's mandatory study hall. So any 9th grader in here. All 10th, 11th, and 12th graders that have 2 or more no marks and or a GPA lower than 2.50. You're in here. Not an option. As a 10th, 11th, or 12th grader, you can get out once you get above a 2.0 or you get rid of those no marks, both of them. All right, so that's kind of how that's going. A freshman with a GPA of 4.0 can opt out. And in all honesty, normally those students don't opt out. They enjoy study table. And so that is the one way to opt out as a freshman, is if you have a 4.0. Now, my thing is, like I said earlier, in my world, mandatory means mandatory. This is mandatory study table. If for some reason you have a physical therapy appointment, You have to go to the orthodontist because it's a Monday short day and you can go before practice. That's great. I'll excuse it. Go. But mandatory is mandatory, so you're going to owe me that time and you're going to make it up. And it's my way to guarantee you that they are spending some time studying here at school. So they have 4 days to make it up. So if they miss a study hall because on a Monday afternoon they have to go somewhere before practice, they have 4 days to make it up, Tuesday through Friday. They can make it up starting at 7 a.m. If you want to drop them off on your way to work at 6 a.m., I'll gladly accept them. They can study till school starts and we'll send them to class. They can have access to a computer at that point or whatever they need to do. Or they can make it up during intervention and lunch. So there's actually 8 different time periods during those 4 days where they can make it up. Question?
Since they haven't gotten a report card yet, the freshmen, are the full panel based on coming in from their junior high, or what?
Nope, the grades are in.
They are.
You should have a report card actually in your mail any day. So the quarter grades are in. Good question.
When does that start? The Monday start?
As soon as we have finalized rosters. So once tryouts have been held that following Monday. All right, to be eligible for a sport, you have to have a 2.0. And a lot of you will see the report cards coming up. Now, if you guys see those report cards and the student athletes in here, I would check your grades. You have until this Friday because that 2-week window, a week's already gone. But you will have this Friday to clear any no marks. So if you have 2 no marks and say one's in math, tomorrow you better get in there during intervention, get your math grade changed, tell your teacher, I passed my test, thank you. I need a grade change because I'm an athlete. I'm going to try out for a winter sport. They will fill out the paperwork with me. We'll change their grade in the computer. So at this point, you have to have above a 2.0. You can only have 1 no mark, or you will be academically ineligible. And you will not be eligible until January. All right, so you got to make sure you're eligible right now. The way it normally works is you have those 2 weeks. So in January, grades, we go to Christmas break. You have the first 2 weeks of school in January to clear any no marks. After that point, you'll be declared ineligible. So you have 2 weeks of school after the grading period ends to clear any no marks. All right, in regards to discipline, there's 3 different classes. These were adopted by the school board. So the breakdown and the consequences were adopted by the school board. Academic ineligibility, behavioral, substance abuse. All right, so pretty straightforward there. And then you can see the consequences. Most of them are 5 to 30 days or a 30-day suspension. So, for instance, we had a player a couple weeks ago, a starter on our football team, academic integrity, 15-day extracurricular suspension. And we issued it. I mean, this is a guy who started on both sides of the ball. And so we do hold these very seriously, and the kids will be punished according to those if they fall in one of those categories. All right, so if you get that, that's not a phone call as a parent you want from me right there that we need to meet about a class 1, 2, or 3 infraction. All right, next slide. Okay, one of the things we did last year, going back to that commitment from the kids, teaching them those life skills, we adopted a department-wide attendance policy. So it's the same for every sport, every level, every student athlete on this campus. And it doesn't vary anymore. Now, and this is in the handbook that you'll read and sign, but this policy is in effect department-wide. On game day, you must be in attendance all of your class periods. If you're going to miss a period, make your son or daughter come talk to me. Teach them those life skills of, hey, you need to go talk to the athletic director. The kids all know where my office is. If they tell you they don't, they're lying to you. So tell them to come down to the athletic department, say, hey, it's Wednesday, you're not going to be in class the first part of Friday because you have a doctor's appointment, go talk to Mr. Feuerbach. I will take care of them, I promise you that. But they need to clear that ahead of time if they're going to miss a class period on a game day or a match day. So make them come talk to me, don't bail them out. Excused versus unexcused practice attendance and consequences. As you go through the handbook online, and I'll show you that in a minute, please be sure and read those. And then it's also, there's a hard copy on the website that you can always reference. But it's going to tell you what's an excused absence from practice and the consequence. What's an unexcused absence from practice and the consequence. And it doesn't matter what level you are or what sport you play, it's the same. Same thing for games. It tells you if you're going to miss a game or a match, how to go about getting it excused. If it's unexcused, if you just blow off a game, we're kicking you off the team. So make sure you read those. What's excused, what's unexcused. Tardiness to practice will be handled by each head coach. That's 30 minutes or less. They might make them run. Who knows what they're going to make them do. If you have 5 or more unexcused practice absences, you're going to be removed, no matter what time of year it is. If you have 8 or more absences total, you're gone. So that's excused or unexcused. And so make sure as you guys go through that attendance policy that you read that stuff and see how to excuse those absences. All right, transportation. Basically, we use a meet you there policy. So, for example, if we're swimming at Antelope tomorrow, you're going to hear the head coach say, hey, swimmers, and this is what they told them today, I will meet you tomorrow at this time at Antelope High School. And then the kids get there on their own. All right, so that's how that kind of works. For some certain tournaments or certain things, we will set up school transportation, but that's few and far between. So we use a meet you there policy. The head coaches just tell the athletes, I will meet you there at this time. So as a parent, just know that that's how we operate in regards to transportation. All right, athletic improvement and analysis. All right, one thing we did, and this was a big change we made coming into this year. We loaded all the varsity athletes into a weights class, a speed and strength class. And here was the basis behind it. As we looked at our athletic program last year, and boys basketball players, I'm going to pick on you right now. We had a horrible season last year. And my biggest problem was this. I saw some of our seniors leaving campus every day at noon. We weren't conditioned, we weren't very strong, and we were not in shape. But they were leaving campus every day at noon. And so I saw this unfold in November, December, and January. And as I talked with all my head coaches, this was one of our solutions. Is we loaded the varsity athletes, and next year we're actually going down into the sophomore level. But we made it mandatory to take athletic PE. And it's a speed and strength class for the winter athletes. What we did was we went to Cal. And we said, we figured they have all those Olympians, they have all those athletes, a multi-million-dollar program. We went and talked to their head guy. And of course he has like 25 assistants, but we went and talked to their head guy. And he helped us develop this program. And has there been a few wrinkles? Yes. We're going down to UOP in 3 weeks to talk to their weight trainer. We're going to Davis the week later. We're going to try to keep tweaking it so it can be as beneficial as possible. But the way the weights class works, there are going to be certain exercises that every student athlete on this campus does. There's going to be certain tests that every student athlete on this campus does, and they're going to get ranked top to bottom. Then there's also going to be some sports-specific stuff. They might get a basketball and have to do certain things. Jump rope. The coaches have been talking with the certain head coaches and developing that part of the program. We felt that this was one way, not more practice time, but actually taking our student athletes and putting them in a weight room and speed and strength training them along with plyometrics, that we can have an advantage over other athletes in this area. And I guarantee you, if your son or daughter plays here for 4 years and they go through that weights program, they will be able to walk onto any college campus and compete immediately. I know there's parents in here who have sons or daughters at the collegiate level right now, and they could vouch that those kids that came through our weights program have walked college ready into a weights program. And so our goal is to bring that to a high school and develop these young athletes and take that jump conditioning-wise, speed-wise, and help them out in their athletic arena. So that's kind of some of the stuff we do. It's required for all 11th and 12th graders. So if you're sitting here as an 11th and 12th grader right in here right now, and you're not in that weights class, you better come talk to me immediately, because that means you didn't play last year, which means you didn't get loaded in. Some of you are very proactive, and you came and talked to me anyways because you wanted to try out, and we got you in there. So if you're not in there, that's a huge issue. So you need to come talk to me tomorrow. So that's kind of where we're at on athletic PE. It's been awesome so far. We're getting ready to rank everybody on vertical jump. So you'll know where you rank out of all the female or male athletes that are in those classes. All right, the training room. So last year we went out, we hired a full-time trainer. All right, that way the coaches weren't trying to stop practice to deal with an injury. And being a coach here myself, that was one of the biggest things I saw is let's hire a trainer to do this. Someone who that's their job, that's what they enjoy, that's what they do. All right, as a football coach, that's not what I did. All right, I didn't know how to evaluate injuries very well. Let's have a professional do it. So we went out and hired a trainer. He's awesome. All right, he works at Rebound Rehab. He comes here, he works for us. But basically we have a training room, we cleaned it out. We're working on some of the rehab equipment right now, getting some bikes and some different things. But the athletic trainer will help diagnose the injury, help treat, rehabilitate, and try to prevent any further complications. And he'll email or call you. Say, hey, your son or daughter got hurt today. He'll talk to you if he was the one who dealt with it. If they see a doctor, so if you take your son or daughter to the doctor, they have to bring a note back in order to participate, that they're cleared. So know that if you take them to the doctor, we need that note. Concussion. All right, all of your son or daughters that make the roster are going to get impact tested. So if they tell you, hey, mom or dad, I had to get on a computer today, I had to do this weird test, we're impact testing them. All right, a lot of the colleges are doing it. It's filtering down in the high schools. They say in 2 years it's going to be mandatory for all high school athletes. We're just trying to get ahead of the curve. All right, so we are going to impact test them, which means when they have a concussion, a lot of times your body will heal, your brain won't. And the only way to test if your brain is healed or not is to give them some type of test, which in this case is a computer test. And that'll help the doctors analyze their brain activity. Concussion rules. If you're suspected of having a head injury and you get pulled out of a contest, you cannot return to play until you get cleared by a medical doctor. That's the way it is. That's a CIF state rule. And so just know that if in basketball you go up for layup and your head hits the floor really hard and we pull you out because we think you have a head injury, you can't go back in that game and you can't play again until you're cleared by a medical doctor. And so it's just one of those liability things. All right, so parents, a lot of times parents ask us, how can you get involved? All right, so support your students' effort to participate. Help us out. Make sure they're staying healthy, managing their time, and that they have a positive attitude. So if you could help us out on the home side in regards to those things, that would be awesome. Be a role model and role model the attributes expected of our athletes and coaches. All right, that means as a parent, I don't want you sitting up in the stands yelling at the referee. Because if your son or daughter does that, I'm kicking them out of the game and I'm probably suspending them for the next one. So please be that role model that we're asking your son or daughters to be. So sometimes ask yourself, is that what I expect from my son or daughter? And if not, you probably shouldn't be doing it. And I will tell you parents, in the winter, we started a new thing this year where if I come up and hand you a card because you're yelling and I don't like it, you're going to go home, you're going to create a free account on a certain website, you're going to watch a 20-minute video, you're going to print out a certificate, and you're going to bring it back to me before I allow you at another Whitney High School event. All right? If you show up, I will kick you out. If you refuse to leave, I will have the police remove you. And so I expect a positive atmosphere in there. And like I said, let's worry about our kids and not anybody else's or the referees. So cheer on your son or daughter. Don't get on the refs or the other team. I will hand you one of those cards, and I will enforce it. All right, respect authority, that kind of goes into that. Sportsmanship, same thing, that video on NFHS. I expect our kids to win and lose with integrity. And what I told them the other day when I was meeting with the fall athletes, win, lose, or tie, play like a champion today. And that's what I expect from them. And if you could help us out with that idea, that mentality, I'd appreciate it. Communicate at the appropriate time and place. That does not mean after a basketball game the appropriate time to talk to the head coach. All right, walk up, say, hey coach, I'd like to schedule time to meet with you in the next day or two. I'll email you tonight. And please do that. Do not expect to deal with the head coach right after a game. That is not the appropriate time or place. Do not expect to deal with me right after a game. That is not the appropriate time or place. And so know the time or place to communicate with people. And then support the program. The more you guys can help us out with fundraisers, volunteer time, and all of that stuff, it's so appreciated. We can always use help around here. Whether it's taking tickets, working the snack bar, getting sponsorships, all of that stuff is greatly appreciated. So anytime you can do where you can support the programs that you're involved in, it helps us out a lot. All right, sponsorships and donations. One thing we try to do is streamline this whole procedure. And so if you own a company or work at a company in here, if you go to the website, whitneywildcats.org, there's a tab on the top that says sponsorship/tickets. Click on that. And then there's a bunch of things on there. So if they want to sponsor a venue, it explains what it is. There's a drop-down box. You click which venue the business wants to sponsor, and they can buy it online. There's X Factor event, which is when we bring out all our students. We had a lady sponsor one of the football games. She got her name on the back of 350 shirts. And so there's the opportunity to sponsor things like that. Any student scholarships or awards, people can sponsor those. We're trying to build an outside storage unit, which really doesn't relate to this group. Our athletic culture, there's some things on there that does relate to this group, things we want to do in the gym. We need money to do it. So if you'd like to help us sponsor some of that stuff, we put quotes up in there and we're painting things. It all takes money. And so if you'd like to sponsor some of that, we're having a big end of the year banquet that we'll talk about later, but if you'd like to sponsor parts of that, please help us out, or if your business would. Season tickets, there's season tickets on there for basketball. So if you want to buy season tickets, you don't have to pay every time at the window. There's a little drop-down menu, you click what you want, and it goes from there. Now, if you do buy something, the invoice comes to me, I'll call you probably the next day or that day, depending when you buy it, and then we'll go from there. I'll tell you guys kind of what you earned and then how I'm going to get you the stuff, or artwork if it was a business. So that's some of that stuff. With that stuff, so if you buy season tickets, if you buy a sponsorship, there's member benefits. So each dollar you spend earns you $1 towards that club level. So if you spend $500, you'll get free season tickets and a bunch of other things. And this is all on the website. And so just some options for people if they want to sponsor your programs different ways. The way it works is when you do sponsor a venue, it's going to ask you what sport you're supporting. You type that in there. I'll process everything, I'll get the sign made, and then I transfer that money to that sport. And so there's different levels, and then I take care of all these levels for you. So please check out the website, check that stuff out, help us out with sponsorships and donations. Okay, speaking of the website. All right, so this is just a screenshot of it. It's whitneywildcats.org. This should answer 99% of your questions. There's a bunch of the tabs on the top and some different things that I'll show you. The tabs on the top are where you can operate, and then all the teams are down here. On the bottom right, you can scroll down and find your team. All right, so there's the tabs. There's directions to all our league schools. Files and links is where you can find the handbook, the student athlete handbook, all that stuff. The calendar, photos, videos, any announcements, contact, email alerts, which we'll talk about in a minute, athlete registration, which we'll talk about in a second, our athletes in college, camps and clinics, golf tourney, Hall of Fame, and then the sponsorships and tickets tab. So please check those out, see how they relate to you. Use that website for any information. All right, so please, parents, students, go home and do this, because this is the easiest way for us to get a hold of you. If you click email alerts, it pulls up this page. Right here it says email only, or you can drop that down and put email and text. Fill out your information, then you just click who you want information from. It gives us an easy way to blast you information. Hey, parent meeting tomorrow night, game time was changed, practice time was changed. And sorry, but for my coaches, it's awesome because you can't respond because it comes from the website. So I know sometimes parents really want a response, but when we're sending these out to 200 or 300 people, we don't want responses. All right, it's nothing personal. It creates kind of a nightmare. And then people can unsubscribe when they don't want it anymore. We don't have to monitor email lists and spam filters and all of that stuff. So use email alerts to your advantage, and text alerts are also on there. All right, schedules. If you click on your team, so if you scroll on the bottom right and you click on the team you want, their schedule will pop up. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care what Max Prep says. I don't care what the SAC B says. This speaks to my software. So when I schedule referees, when I schedule all of our games, it automatically updates our website. So this is live all the time. The parent phone calls that ask if the schedule online is correct drive me nuts. Yes, it's right. All right, it's not a dead program. So it's not like this is a screenshot or a PDF. It's a live program. So if I were to log in right now and switch a game, within 10 seconds it switches it on here. And so I don't care about those other websites. Please, if you have a question about a schedule, go to whitneywildcats.org. That website is 100% accurate. All right, and so please use that. There's also other tabs up at the top. Tells you how to get a hold of your coaches, the roster, and those are all sports specific. Those aren't to the athletic department. Your coaches have complete control of those specific tabs. All right, WCTV 19, they will air some of the events live. So we'll tell you in the announcements which ones we're going to air live. Then grandma and grandpa out in Idaho or Oklahoma or Oregon or wherever, they can watch the games live. So they'll be able to watch your son or daughters participate live on the internet at WCTV19.com. Our goal is to do a bunch of basketball games and then get out to some of the wrestling matches also. And so we'll try to publicize when we'll do that so you guys can let everybody know, so your relatives or your grandparents can see you guys do that. So use that website to your advantage. Okay, here's how you get registered to play in a winter sport or try out for a winter sport. So you go to whitneywildcats.org. All right, so there's 7 steps. The first one's your physical. You have to have all 7 done to try out on November 11th. So you have a physical, you got to read the handbook. You got to go through eligibility and medical information, the concussion form, the athletic trainer form, the VAC form, and the VAC payment. All right, so on the top left, right there, it says athlete registration. You're going to click on that. And I don't want any of this paper. Paper does not exist in my world. So we're going all online. So you're going to click athlete registration. From there, it's going to take you to this website or this page. You're going to click athlete registration right up there. And then you're going to click on step 1. And that's going to take you to the physical form. Submit it online. Scan it and submit it. If you need to print out a copy, click on step 1 and you can print out a copy also. Once you do step 1, you're going to hit enter. It's going to send it to us. Then you're going to go back to athlete registration and click on step 2. You're going to read the handbook. You're going to fill out some information at the bottom. You're going to click send. And then you're going to go back to athlete registration and click step 3. Do step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, and step 7. It's going to take you through the process. All right? If there's an issue, I will call you. If you call me or email me asking if your stuff went through, I'm not going to respond. All right? I'm just going to be completely honest with you. Assume it went through unless you hear from me. If there was an issue with the scan, we'll call you and say, your scan didn't come through. Or, hey, you forgot the handbook. Or you forgot the concussion form. If there's an issue, we will call you. If not, we're not going to answer 300 phone calls of whether or not your stuff went through. And so, do it online, and if you hear from us there was an issue. If not, assume that it went through. So, there's like the physical form. You can download it, and then you click on submit. You can submit it. That's the athletic eligibility and insurance information. You're just going to fill in all the boxes. At the bottom it says send. Right there, this is the bottom of the handbook. Different areas, concussion form. The student ID number is important, your 9-digit number. That's what we need. And then there are electronic signatures for us. So that's kind of the page there. And so that's where you'll operate to get your son or daughter registered. That needs to be completed by November 8th at 3 p.m. So if it's done November 9th, they're not going to be eligible the first day of tryouts. Or November 10th, they're not going to be eligible the first day of tryouts. All right, they'll probably be eligible the second day, but they've now missed a practice. And so November 8th at 3 p.m. Now, if there's an emergency situation and something happens, please call us. All right, and we can help you out. If you can't figure it out, come down and we'll step you through it on a computer. And so, but winter athletes, you guys are November 8th at 3 p.m. All that stuff needs to be taken care of. We'll take care of the grades part. You don't need to worry about that. All right, last part, budget and finance. Coach, my 34 minutes was wrong. We're a little over. All right. Okay, so one thing that happened was when they were making cuts to education in 2009, they looked at a bunch of different things. Do you cut all freshman sports? Do you close facilities? So you close the pool and get rid of certain sports. You close the gym and get rid of certain sports. Do you close the fields? They were trying to figure out what to do. And so as we were talking about things, our goal was to maintain the status quo, if not build upon it. And so as we sat in these meetings, and I sat in from a different side because I was running student activities, but the goal was, how can we preserve our athletic programs as they are in this community? And so that was kind of the big questions that we were posed. And from there, Kathy, so from there we came up with what we called the VAC. And so you're going to see that as step 6 is the VAC form, and it's a letter that explains this. Step 7 is the VAC payment. And the goal from that was to use contributions from the family, donations, to support our sports. So we didn't have to close facilities or cut certain levels. And because one of the proposals was to cut the lower level of everything. So if you didn't have freshmen, cut JV. All right, if you had freshmen, cut freshmen. So we were debating all of these things. Our plea to the district was, let us try to operate on contributions from the family, whatever that amount is. And for the past few years, we've been able to. We've been able to keep all of our programs afloat at this point. So basically our solution was, we will fundraise for uniforms, tournaments, all that stuff. Athletic contribution from families, and then sponsorships for other things. And we've been able to stay afloat with those three things. So when you see the VAC payment, that's what you're using the VAC for. From an administrative point of view, to keep our athletic program afloat. All right, and so otherwise we are going to look at closing facilities or cutting certain teams. And so as we try to keep our athletic program afloat, those contributions are extremely important to us. You can go to the next one. Ideally, if you played your first sport, we'd ask for $125. Second sport or your second sibling, $100. Third sport, third sibling, $75. A family plan for the year, $450. When we crunched all the numbers, we figured out that this could help us function. All right, we're pretty close to this right now. Hopefully winter and spring will go as well as the fall did. All right, just some basic information, then we'll get you guys to your breakout sessions. So fall sport or winter sports start November 11th. That is the first day of tryouts. You are expected to be in attendance. And so November 8th, clear all your stuff. November 11th, the start of winter practices. And I will not let a student try out after that unless there's extenuating circumstances. And so if they come to me later in that week, November 14th, and I want to try out for this, it's not going to happen. And so November 11th is the big day. All right, just some basic school information. Our governing body is the CIF. They have a website. Our section's the Sac Joaquin section. They have a website. The league, this is our last year in it, but we're in the Capital Athletic League. That will change next year. But right now, our league competition is Antelope, Cordova, El Camino, Mariloma, and Rio Americano. All right, so that is changing next year. If you heard rumblings or whatever, that is changing next year. This will be our last year in this league. All right, some changes you guys are going to see this year or continue to see. The online registration. Obviously, we didn't have that last year, so we're going with that. An award system. As your son or daughter's sports come to a close, we have revamped our total award system. All right, so it's like the first year you complete a sport, here's what you get. The second year, here's what you get. The third year, here's what you get. And the fourth year. Now, seniors, I'm sorry. And when I told you guys in the meeting last week, I have more respect for you than you'll ever know because you don't get all the benefits. Just because you're in your fourth year, it doesn't mean you're going to get years 1 through 4 this year. It would break my budget. All right, and so, but the award system is based on this. One thing we looked at was Letterman jackets, right? They're great from when we were in high school and all of that, except for the cost. And parents, I understand that. All right, $300, $400, $500 for Letterman jacket is pretty steep. So as I was talking with the students, and I'll talk about the athletic senate in a second, this is what we came up with. And it'll look something similar like this. We're debating the color right now. But it's more of a hoodie. It's a thick hoodie that has that Letterman style. All of the awards will be based on putting them on that. The nice thing about those jackets is they run $60. All right, a lot better for the parents' budget. And they're awesome. The kids have loved them. Our athletic senate that's working on this, they love it. So the idea is they're going to get block letters and chevrons and pins and all kinds of stuff, patches to put on something like that. We'll have order forms for it. You'll be able to order it online. But the idea was to give everyone a viable solution and something that wouldn't break your budget and an award system that would complement that. And so we're going to try to push that here a lot, especially as the fall sports come to a close and the winter sports are starting. We're going to have a big end of the year banquet. So if you get an invitation from the athletic department for a big end of the year banquet, we're going to run it like the ESPYs for those of you that watch ESPN or the Grammys for those of you that don't. There's going to be video clips. There's going to be spotlights. We're going to serve dinner. It's going to be awesome. At that dinner banquet is where we're going to announce our athletes of the year and all our big sport winners. So you'll see all those award winners. For those of you that are the top level athletes, you'll get an invitation for that because you'll probably be a nominee. And so we have that coming up in May. The Athletic Senate, we had one senior and some juniors when there wasn't seniors available from each sport. I meet with them every other week. All right, they're coming up with stuff. They came up with the award system. They came up with what they want to do with the juniors and seniors for study hall. All right, the goal is to give the students a voice, have them buy into the program, create that culture. And then obviously our big emphasis for us is that student-athlete culture this year. All right, so hit enter again. One more time. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. At this point, Coach Parker, raise your hand. Where are you at? Oh, he's up there in the booth. If you were a wrestling parent or a student athlete, if you could stand up, follow Coach Parker out the doors and go to the library and make sure you turn in your forms to him when you're done, you guys are out of here. Everybody else can stay seated for just 1 second.